Hi, welcome to episode 2 of the Beyond Socials podcast. I'm Bree, your host, and today we're going to talk about an episode that's a bit close to home and more personal. 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I could not talk, walk, sing, or see very well. And today's podcast episode is about that story. I have my notes with me to keep me as guided as possible. It's my anchor literally right now. Because it's a bit nerve-wracking to talk about this story, but I think it's so important to share. And before I get started, I want to let you know that if you are someone who's rebuilding your life, starting over, going through a really hard time or a setback, this episode is for you. So let's get started. So I said that 5 or 6 years ago, I couldn't walk or talk or sing or see very well. I didn't lose my vision completely, but my vision changed. And that is because of my history with strokes. It all started when I was pregnant with my son, Milo, and I was told by my doctor I was a high risk pregnancy because I had already had multiple miscarriages, and it was really important to make sure that everything was okay. So we did run some tests on the baby to make sure everything was okay. And then we ran some tests on the baby just to make sure there was no Down syndrome, those regular tests that you get checked just to make sure there's no disabilities or any, I forgot what the term is, but just to make sure there was nothing wrong with the baby. The results came back and I was told that my son has spina bifida. I had no idea what that was, but I do know that once I found out what it was, I was really sad. And I didn't know what to think or how to feel about it. I just know that I cried a lot because I was told that I would have to make a choice of either going through surgery while I was pregnant or going through surgery after he was out. If you don't know what spina bifida is, I'm still always learning about it, but my son had his spine wasn't completely formed, and so they needed to do surgery on his spine to make sure that they could repair that part that was missing or open, because there was fluid going to his brain, and it was really hard to accept that was happening or accept that was even a thing. I mean, it was so shocking that it really wasn't hitting. I just know that my immediate answer was yeah, let's do it, I did have some thoughts of should I even go through with this pregnancy, but after talking to my partner, he was so adamant on no, we should keep this baby. This is something that, so many people pray for. And also I'm a firm believer in God, and that was something that I felt we had to just do. Even though I was super unsure, I'm not gonna pretend that this was a yes right away. I doubted because I was scared of the outcome, or if he was gonna be okay, if I was gonna be okay. And after talking to my partner and a very close friend, she also gave me that confirmation that yeah, there's a reason why God put this baby in your life, or why the baby is here. And so I got mixed opinions, really. My specialists were very supportive, and they said I could go either way, but I did have others tell me you shouldn't go through with it, and it wasn't nice to hear, of course, because I didn't want to be the person to end a pregnancy. And I know this is a really hard subject for other people, so, this was my personal journey and my personal story. I'm not here to judge or tell anyone what they should and should not do when they have a pregnancy, but this was my story. And I did think of ending it because I was scared and I wasn't sure how this was going to play out. But in the end, I prayed really hard about this pregnancy, and I did like anything I could to envision my life with my son and envisioning him playing soccer, envisioning, because I was told he's not going to be able to walk or that it's going to be really hard for him. And I was like, no, like this is going to be fine. So I decided immediately that same week that I was going to go through with the surgery. And at 5 months of pregnancy, this is called an in utero surgery. They offered me an experimental surgery. I think I was experiment number 6 in Florida. And not many women had done this surgery. But once I read about the specialist, who's a neurologist, and he's the one who performed surgery on the kids, I had seen an interview with him on Ellen, and I think I had read a couple articles of him doing surgery. And so I was pretty confident that everything was going to be okay, even though it was a fairly new thing. I prayed about this. And so, 5 months of pregnancy, you have to do a vertical C-section to open you and then repair the spine on the baby. I was supposed to wait after that surgery up until 7 months of pregnancy. I was 5 months at the time. It did not go as planned. I was bedridden since that surgery, and then I developed eclampsia 30 days after that surgery, so I had no time to actually fully heal. And then once I had that surgery, it was like I was actually waiting for my partner, because they were like, your blood pressure is pretty high. It's really important that, we take care of this right now. We're going to monitor it. And then literally, like, I think a few minutes later, the doctor comes in. We have to go do the surgery right now. My partner was not with me. He was at work at the time, and I was like so scared. So I asked my mom to come with me, and eventually I don't recall if it was my mom or my partner. It's over. Eventually, I had to just go in there. Baby was out, and we heard him screaming, crying, and he was out. And once the baby was born, he was taken to NICU to grow, because he was born at 33 weeks of pregnancy instead of what is the word I'm looking for? The expected 37 weeks. And it was a really hard recovery for me. I was staying at the Ronald McDonald House, which is like a residency place that you stay while you're waiting for your kids in the NICU to, any kid that you have in the NICU going through anything serious, usually you're allowed to stay at the Ronald McDonald House, which is like literally a walkable distance to the hospital. But my recovery was so hard that I could never really go see him. I think I was able to see him a few times, my son. But my mom went to go see him. My mother-in-law went to go see him, and also my partner, of course. And I was able to get updates all the time, consistently, see how he was doing. But it was so hard for me to go. I went as much as I possibly could, but I was not okay. It was one of the hardest things that I could have gone through ever. And I think he was in the hospital for like a month, I want to say. I think so, maybe a little more. Just waiting for him to be the right weight, and really good with like feeding and all that stuff, because he was feeding through a tube. And I'm so grateful that he was given donated breast milk, because I was not able to pump at all. I think my body was so out I have lupus, so it was already so hard on my body. And I also have antiphospholipid syndrome, which is a clotting disorder, um, a blood clotting disorder. And so it was just really hard for me to pump. I was not eating, I was not resting well, and I was just sick all the time. But moving forward, once he was out of the NICU, um, once he was out of the NICU, we were able to take him home. And literally, I don't know, a few days after him coming from from the NICU, I wasn't feeling my left arm. I woke up like, what, I think a few days later, and my left arm was just like really numb. I was like making myself a bowl of cereal, and my left arm was really numb. And I went to like bend over, and all of my cereal fell, and I was so like weirded out. I felt so strange. I was like, this is so not normal. Like, I literally cannot feel my left arm. And I go to the emergency room. They tell me it's probably just a pinched nerve. You're gonna be fine. Like, and the doctor was really convincing me that like it was probably a pinched nerve. She was like, oh, I could run this test, but honestly, I think you're fine. I don't really think you need to do it, but like if you want me to. So I was really like confident in that that it was all in my head, that it probably was a pinched nerve. It would be over soon. But it stayed like for a whole entire week until I was like, this is not normal. I still can't feel my left arm. Like, it feels so weird. Then I went to another hospital, and turns out I had my first stroke. It was a TIA. And yeah, from then I was like I just remember feeling so like disoriented and feeling so shocked at what I was being told, because I was like 22, 23 at the time, and you don't really hear of like a young girl in her 20s having a stroke. Usually like that's something you hear when someone's like in their 60s or up. And so I was like, what? I didn't even know what a stroke was, you guys. Like, I didn't even know what that was. And when I read about it, I was like, this is strange. Okay. But that was my first experience with having a stroke. And then it happened again. But my third stroke was the most horrible one, where I lost my ability to see, speak, all those things. I was actually on my way to the hospital to get an MRI because I didn't feel well, and I felt like something was coming on. And being that this was I had already had experienced this twice, I was like, okay, this feels similar to what I felt before. I went to the hospital. I'm waiting. They told me you might have to wait a whole day, and I was like, I hope not. I go take a nap, and when I wake up from my nap, they say you need to go change into your robe because we got to take you. So I go change into my robe. When I change into my robe, I cannot get dressed. I cannot notice my left from my right. I'm trying to put my shirt on like literally like this, and I drop my clothes in the toilet, and I'm like, I need help. Thankfully, my friend and my partner were with me, but I didn't know at the time, but they had already seen that I was already going through something. And I'm so glad that they didn't show those emotions, because I think I would have freaked out immediately. But on my way to the MRI room, I started to feel very different. I could not feel my left arm way more intensely than the first time. And it was so intense. I literally ripped through my skin, because I was telling the nurse, like, I cannot feel my arm. Like, is there something going on? Because I can't feel it. I start crying and literally digging my nails into my skin to the point where I was ripping my skin because I could not feel. I'm like, I must be crazy, because what is going on? And that was like the worst one that I had, and that was in 2019. But yeah, the symptoms seem to have gotten worse throughout the day. So at first I couldn't feel my left arm. I guess my face was already drooped to one side. But my vision came, like, issues came a little bit later. Like, I think maybe that same day or the next day, but I really wasn't, again, aware. I was so disoriented. Everything was so weird. Um, and that's when I lost my ability to do a lot of things. I could not move really. And from there, everything changed. Literally everything. I had to relearn how to walk, relearn how to talk, relearn how to sing. Everything was really hard. My kids look different. I think that was like one of the most heartbreaking things that I could have ever experienced. And thankfully my partner did not look so super weird to me, but my kids looked like really weird. I don't know. I think the best way I can explain is like when you go to like any sort of like circus event or carnival, and they have like the funny mirror, and your body's like, your head's like super big and your body's super long. Like that's how my kids look to me. My clothes look so small, like for like a minion size. So like when I would try to put on my shoes, I couldn't really put them on because it was like, well, this is super small and like my feet look normal to me, and I'm like, how do I put this on? And I couldn't get myself dressed, and I could not eat without drooling. All of those things were really hard on like my mental health and my confidence, my self-esteem. I mean, I felt so far away from myself that I didn't even know who I was anymore. I wasn't sure of what that meant for me anymore. And I think it's so important to note that it was like an up and hill battle for me. It was like some days I was really okay, or neutral, should I say. I was always like sad about the situation, but I was like going through a lot. I was going through really major migraines and headaches to the point where I had to take really strong medicine just to deal with the pain of like recovering from such an intense stroke, because in the beginning it was a TIA, and then they started to become and progress until that third one became the worst one of my life. And then I ended up being in inpatient rehab for recovery because, again, I could not walk. So I had to relearn how to even sit up. I could not even sit up naturally. And I just remember not even being aware of the fact that I was doing that. Like I would be all slumped down. And sometimes I still struggle with it. Like I have to be aware that sometimes I can still do that because my muscles, I didn't fully 100% recover from what's happened to me. But, you know, if you were to see how I was in 2019, I don't know if you would actually believe me, which I tend to get a lot when I go to hospitals now. They're like, there's no way you went through this. But I just want to share like how the steps I needed to take to be able to rebuild myself. And I think I want to be able to share that in this whole process. What I want to share with you really is that if you're going through a period in time where you feel destroyed, defeated, like you don't envision yourself anywhere, because that's where I was when I had this situation happen to me. I mean, I had to take so many therapies every single day from like, I had a schedule and the wall was filled with a schedule from like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I had to do this day in, day out. You have physical therapy, speech therapy, I forgot what the other one called, where you have to deal with your hands and they help you with that. But those therapies were so necessary for me to be able to just remember how it felt to put my feet on the ground, sit up straight, walk. So if you're going through anything where you are feeling like you can no longer be who you want to be, you have to start small. You know, it took me so many days, I think I was there for like a month. You know, if you don't move your feet, you won't be able to walk. And I think that there were so many moments where I wanted to literally give up, and I couldn't, because what was I gonna do? If I didn't go to those therapies, what was I gonna do? Stay where I was at? I mean, if I would have stayed where I was at, I wouldn't have been able to walk. If I didn't put my feet on the ground, I wouldn't have been able to, move at all. If I didn't try day in and day out to get back up from where I was, I would have never been able to walk. And you can apply that to anything that you're going through, whether you're learning a new skill, or you're learning a new language, or you're relearning to do something that you forgot how to do. You have to take small steps to be able to rebuild yourself, or relearn a skill, or redo anything, or doing something for the first time. I had to even reteach myself how to sing. And thankfully I had musical therapy, and I will always see that as a blessing. I don't know how, or I think like that was from God, I swear, because it was like, how is there musical therapy here? I didn't even know that existed, and I'm so glad that I had musical therapy in that rehab, because it saved me. It literally was a thing to remind me of like who I was and what I wanted, and like the core foundations of Brie, like me, the little girl in me that loved music, that always wanted to be a singer. Since I was literally 9 years old, I always said, I love music. Like the Cheetah Girls, biggest inspiration growing up. And I just had to remember, every time I went to a musical therapy session and I was told, hey, let's sing something, let's play something, I felt so scared and embarrassed sometimes, but I was still doing it because I knew what I wanted, and I wanted to sing again, and I wanted to talk again, and I wanted to be able to communicate properly with the ones that I loved. And so that's what I did, and it happened, but it took me a long time to get there. And that was in 2019. It's 2025. It took me 5-6 years to reteach myself the guitar. I was not able to even put my so sorry, you guys. My kids are watching a movie, so I'm a little bit distracted, but I was not able to put my fingers on the guitar, and I really struggled with playing the guitar for a really long time, and it was really, really hard. So just know that it takes time to relearn to do things, and if you don't move your feet, you're not going to learn how to walk. So that's just how it goes. If you are a business that's trying to put yourself out there for the first time, say on social media, if you don't build or start to create the Instagram account, you're not gonna get the exposure, and the same thing if you're trying to get clients. Like, if you don't do outreach, you're not gonna have prospects. So I think that's like one of the lessons best way I can explain this from a business perspective, but also in a life perspective. Like, if you don't, move your feet, how are you gonna walk? All right, I'm gonna look at my notes again just to stay on track here, but I would love to say that I have down here, grieve today, try again tomorrow. So there were so many nights that I wanted to really not get up. I didn't want to do anything. I was so sad and affected by what had happened that I don't think that I could have envisioned myself getting better at the time. At the time I was really down bad about what had happened, that I was like, again, what am I doing this for? And like who? But I'm so glad that I had my friends and my partner by me, and that like even my aunt came down to see me from New York, and oh my god, I swear, like I'm so glad she came, because it was just like she cooked for me, like my mom and her cooked for me, and I mean, it was just like I really needed that. I really, really needed that. You know, I hadn't seen my aunt in a really long time, and I was just like, damn, I really, really needed that, that familiarity, that community. And I don't have that written in here, but I think community is so important. And if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would have, recovered the same. Like, she was really like, you are gonna get up. Like, you're gonna be fine right now. Like, you cannot give up. You need to keep fighting. You have to keep going. And I don't think that, I mean, I'm just really grateful that she came. And it just makes me emotional, because she really pushed me. And that kind of like that family member that like really is super loving, but also is like gives you tough love at the same time. She's like that one person that I've always remembered her to be that way. And it was like, if she wouldn't have come to say like, Brianna, tú puedes, te vas a parar, lo necesitas hacer por tus hijos. If it was not for her, I don't know if I would have, had the same, I wouldn't have had the same experience, and I'm really grateful that she was there, and making me meals, and she was even willing to stay with me if I needed, and I'm really grateful. So having a community is so important, and I think that that's something that a lot of us feel shame for half of the time, that sometimes we need people, or we need help, and it's okay to have help when you're recovering, or when you're rebuilding, or when you're growing. I don't think there's one person I've seen that's been successful in their career that didn't have some sort of mentor, or some sort of guide, or a teacher first before they got there. I think a lot of times people like to act like, oh well, I got this on my own and I did this by myself. Yeah, like maybe you started to work on those things, maybe they started to work on those things on their own, but they learned from something, from somewhere first, before they got there to do these things on their quote unquote own. And so I think like needing help and needing a community is something that we cannot forget. Like, you're gonna want resources, you're gonna want, family or a friend or something, whether it's your faith, whether you believe in God, universe, whatever it is. There's always you're always gonna need something, some sort of help or support in some way. And I think it's really important that you seek that or get that, and don't be afraid to ask. I think there's also a lot of shame around asking for help, and if you don't ask, how are you gonna get it? Like, there's no shame when people are trying to sell you something at the mall and they walk up to you. It's like they're trying to make their money. There's nothing wrong with you asking for help. I know it's like from a different perspective, like they're trying to sell something and they get something in return, but like, for other people, there's other people in the business world that have asked for help, which is why they have mentors and they have therapists and they have these things, or they have a family member or friend helping them out. Like, it's okay to ask for help, so don't be afraid to ask for help. I would say that. What else do I got in my notes? Yeah, I'm super grateful for having the help, and I just, for anyone who's called and asked if I was okay, like, thank you so much, and just know that my love is here for you, even if we don't see each other. My family's from New York, and so I haven't seen them in a really long time, and I miss them dearly. And if only they knew how much I miss them, but I'm just so grateful, and I just want to take that moment right now to just say that if you have anyone that you haven't seen in a really long time, if you live far away from each other, just don't forget to say that you love them and that you're there. But moving forward in this recovery process, even now, like, sometimes I'll doubt, like, where I'm at right now, because I'm 29 years old now, and there has been so many times where I'm like, is it over for me? Like, can I no longer do the things that I want to do? And, you know, I've really felt insecure about that on so many moments, but your timeline does not matter. You know, like it's not anyone else's. It's not anyone else's. It's your timeline. Like however long it took you to learn something, however old you are, it really doesn't matter. Your timeline is your timeline, not anyone else's, and it's your truth, not anyone else's. I think I spent so long like just being so sad and ashamed of the fact that, like, okay, I'm 29 and I wanted to be a singer-songwriter. I still want to, not wanted. I am rebuilding my career, and right now I'm working on this podcast. I offer social media services. I've been studying social media for a really long time, for a few years now, and I've been singing since I was literally 9 years old. But of course there's been that little gap since I've had those strokes, and I really thought, shit, it's over for me. Like, it's over for me. I don't know if I can do this again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Maybe I've like reached my peak. Like, maybe that peak time is over because I'm 29. It's not. It's not. And thank God for social media, because you see 80, 70-year-olds on social media collecting the bag, okay? Like, literally the most creative older people making so many amazing videos and content and just sharing their love. Literally, there's this one guy on TikTok, I wish I remember his name, but he's like probably in his 50s or 60s, and he goes live all the time, and he's from London, and I think he's Jamaican or something, but he has a huge collection of like vinyls. I love that guy. I love that man. I'm gonna have to find his stuff, but just to share his socials, but he is amazing. He plays really old reggae records that, oh my god, touch your soul. And if it wasn't for that guy, like, he made me so happy. I love reggae. My partner is huge on reggae, so he opened my world up to a different genre of music that of course, we know our throwback. As a New Yorker, I know my throwback reggae songs that I jam to, but this is like the more spiritual reggae, the more loving, romantic reggae, and I had no idea so much beautiful music existed. But all this to say, I'm getting off track here, that he's sharing something he loves, and he's older, and I'm still young, and I think literally even up until like last month I was on the same thing, and then I was like, well, you know what, there's a lot of people starting over right now, and I think it's okay to start over. It's okay to have to rebuild something, and I've gone through so many experiences where I've changed and evolved, and I think that's how you should look at it, is that you're changing and you're evolving. And maybe you tried doing this before, maybe you're restarting again, maybe you are starting from the ground up. But if you are starting from the ground up, or you're restarting again, that is totally normal, and that is okay. Maybe before it just wasn't your time. Maybe before it just wasn't, you weren't ready to receive what you want to receive, or what you wanted to receive. Maybe right now it's the time for you to start again and start over. And so this podcast, I think, is like a really good example. I wanted to do podcasting before, and I tried doing podcasting before, and it just wasn't the time. I don't think I was ready. I don't think I knew what I wanted to do there. I knew that I wanted to start it, but this came naturally. It came from like literally just wanting to share my like being proud of my brother, and I really just wanted to share like how great he was doing, and from that this podcast started, and I'm really glad that that's how it started. And episode 2 came naturally too. It was like something I had to talk about, it's something I had to share. But yeah. So it's okay if you're starting over. It's okay. I've tried so many different businesses. Like, if you are in the business industry, I've tried so many different things. I've tried selling supplements, like with I think it was Per Tandem was the company. I was so young. I think I was 18. I don't know what I was doing in that world at the time, but I tried it. Okay, I knew that I did not want the traditional 9 to 5, and so I tried that. I've also done. I'm an affiliate for Arbonne. I'm still think I'm gonna keep redoing that, just because even though I'm not actively selling, I just love their products. I really do. But it's not something that like I would say I want to do forever, or I'm so passionate about. I mean, there's girls in that group that really love that stuff, and it's like their full-time job, and I love that for them. But it wasn't for me. But I do love the products, and I still do consume it. I also have a Kangen water machine, and I was am affiliated with Kangen because I was a distributor for them. But it's something that I just really love to drink. I mean, I did it for my health. I did it for my son. I did it for my daughter. I did it for my family. But it's not something I'm 100% like passionate about. So I stepped back into something else. And I think that sometimes we feel like ashamed for trying different things, but I don't think there's anything wrong with trying different things. I think if you don't try those things, what if you stay stuck in something that you don't love, and then you're 60 years old and you're like, damn, what did I do? Like, I don't want to do this. I'm not happy with this. I don't love this. And I'm glad that I tried all the things that I've tried so far. And I know that every time I've tried to try something new, I always came back to music and social media. And those are the things that I'm passionate about. Music, social media, business. I love that. But that's not to say that you have to heal and work on your healing throughout this whole entire process. Like, I'm always working on personal development. I'm always trying to heal from something. And healing isn't linear. It's not linear. It's not this one straight line. It doesn't look one way. It looks so different for so many different people. And I think that it's so important to work on your healing throughout this journey. And there's no such thing as like healing looking perfect. It's supposed to get messy. It's supposed to look ugly. Like, it's gonna look like that sometimes. And there's no shame in that. Like, growing looks messy. Growing can be painful. But one thing that I had to come to terms with, that life is a balance of good and bad, and sadness and happiness, and sometimes we get too wrapped up in what happiness looks like. Like, I feel like we're so used to watching things on the TV and the screen, and everyone making their videos or reels or TikToks look picture perfect, that we think that healing has to look like butterflies and rainbows, when really sometimes it's literally crying into your pillow, screaming into your pillow, literally sobbing. Like, it's not meant to be perfect, and it's not linear. Healing is filled with progress and setbacks. And yeah, that's definitely something that's personal to me, but I know that I've seen so many other people and heard of so many other people telling me the same thing, that it's just ebbs and flows. It ebbs and flows, and that's okay. For me, like, it's important to find something that grounds you. Like, for me, while I was recovering in rehab, music therapy, I feel like I was always looking forward to music therapy, because it was so hard. Like, doing physical therapy and speech therapy and the other therapies that I had to do always made me feel so sad, down, and defeated, even though I knew they were necessary to grow and learn how to walk again and talk again, all those things. But music therapy always made me feel more grounded. And I think it's important to find that thing that keeps you grounded. So for me, it was music therapy, and find your version of music therapy for you. Like, what is something that keeps you grounded when there's so much chaos in your life? What is something that keeps you home, close to home, to yourself, and connected to yourself and your goals and your aspirations? Find that one thing that keeps you grounded. And then I got I got really lost in translation when it came to all of this. Like there were so many times where I felt lost because I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure if I was doing like things the right way. Like I felt like, am I doing okay? Am I progressing? Am I still a good singer? Am I a good social media strategist? Like, am I not gonna be good enough because I took a gap between social media management? I had to take a step back after another pregnancy loss, and just I had to remind myself. Even recently, I had to remind myself that even though I took that gap from not taking on any clients in 2021 to 2025 now, right? Or 2022 to 2025. I took a 3-year gap from taking on social media clients, even though I was like helping my partner with social media and giving advice here and there, and still studying it. I wasn't actively taking on clients. And so I started to question myself on putting myself back out there in the field and offering my services again. And the same thing when it came back to like learning how to sing. I was like, well, can I even consider myself a musician? And that was a genuine question. I was like, am I even a musician if I don't know how to sing the way I used to sing, and I don't know how to play the guitar anymore? Can I still call myself that? And the answer is yeah. Yeah, you can call yourself a musician. Yes, you can call yourself whatever it is that whatever industry you're in. If you are relearning to do something and rebuilding yourself, yes, you are still an entrepreneur, even if you have like 50 failed projects. There are so many people. There's authors who've tried to make 100 books before they got their best-selling one. It doesn't mean that you're not an author. If I lost my voice again and I had to retrain myself, it doesn't make me not a singer. I'm still a singer. I'm still a musician. And so taking that 3-year gap was so important for me, for my health and my mental health, but also my physical health. It was declining at the time, and so I really needed that. But yeah, I'm still a social media manager. I never stopped anyway. I just took a break and I didn't take on any clients, but I was taking courses. I was in school, and it doesn't change anything. If you are an entrepreneur trying to rebuild a project or you're starting something new, just because you have failed projects doesn't mean that you're not a successful person. It just means that you're trying over and you're trying something new again. And you're supposed to fail. You're supposed to fail. I think a lot of times we see failure as a bad thing, but failure is literally the best thing that could happen to us, because that's exactly how we grow and become better at what it is that we're trying to do. You guys have no idea how many songs I've made that are like criminal. You don't want to hear them, but like criminal, okay? Like I will not be sharing, but I just know that making so many songs, I've become a better songwriter because of it. I've tried to write before. I've written since I was like in high school. And I don't think you want to hear 15-year-old Bree songs, okay? It was like, and also I was like in my early 2000s era. It's just not cute. But it's, we've changed since then. And I'd say I have some really good songs that I'm really proud of and that are more me, close to the Brie, as close to Brie as you can be. Like I'm multiple versions of me. I'm a woman, okay? I have multiple cycles, but there's 2 versions in there. There's a 9-year-old Brie and there's also the Brie that I am today. And so I'm really proud of both Bries, but yeah, my music has improved. That's the point. And so it's okay to change and go through failure, because it makes you a better person. Yeah. And I think that that's it. I think that's all I want to share. Like, this is I hope that you see that it's okay to rebuild if you're in your late 20s and you're starting over. There's so many women and also men that I've seen a lot recently that are starting over. And so just know that you're not the only one. And it's okay to go through these stages of life. It is life. Life has so many stages and seasons, and it's never too late to do what you love. It's never too late to start something new. If something you've been doing for like 10 years and it's like not something you discovered, hey, I'm not passionate about this, or maybe you discovered that I love this but I want more. It's okay to want something more. It's okay to change. It's okay to switch gears and start something new or start over. And if you're going through any setback, or maybe you're in a relationship and it ended, or maybe you lost your job and right now this is your low for you, like, there are other jobs out there that are looking for someone just like you. There's another partner out there that is looking for someone just like you. But just know that it's not linear. Like, growth is not linear. And this phase of like what you're going through, the setback, the struggle, the lost relationship, maybe you feel lost. It's okay to take that time to grow and rebuild yourself and heal in the process, and just go from there. Literally, there's other people out there and there's another job out there for you, and it's okay to rebuild. Yeah, I think I've said that multiple times now, but it's okay to rebuild. And literally what I shared hopefully is an example of that. And the next person I'm going to interview is another example of rebuilding, and I'm so excited to share this person. But until then, I really hope that you enjoy this episode, and that if you know someone that is also rebuilding, definitely share this episode with them. Thank you so much for listening, and that's a wrap on episode 2. Until next time.